Hi, everyone. Happy Easter. Yesterday was Easter Monday, and the troublemaker in me wanted to post this video then, but I figured it'd be better to give it a day so that I didn't give anyone any temptations or bad ideas. Um, Yesterday was Easter Monday, and in Polish culture, Easter Monday is a day where people, oftentimes young men, remind other people, sometimes young women, of their baptism by dousing them with water. It's a fun tradition, and quite honest, it's one that I really like. There was a country music song once, Thus Begins My Love Affair with Water. And it talked about how a country boy loved swimming and fishing and all these things having to do with water. Well, I have a love affair with water, as I think all Christians probably should, because we are a baptismal people. And baptism, of course, uses a primordial symbol for human beings, the symbol of water. It uses that symbol to remind us of God's goodness and his refreshingness. Water has many different aspects as a symbol. It is cooling to the tongue when we're hot or thirsty. It's refreshing when we're exhausted. It can be great fun. Of course, for the farmer or the fisherman, water is essential for their trade. It's essential for the growth of new plants. It's essential for taking fish from the sea. Um, but water also has a little bit of a dark side. Of course, if you are the receiving person on the receiving end of being reminded of your baptism, perhaps water is a little bit annoying. That you have just been splashed and now your clothes are all wet and maybe you have to go change. You might be a little bit cross with your husband or your wife or your son or your daughter, your brother, your sister. But even far more difficult than that, water for the same farmer who needs it to grow his crops is a source of danger, because if you have too much water or too little water, your plants won't grow. For the fishermen, water is the source of their livelihood, but it's also the source of great danger. Even to this day, um, being a fisherman is one of the most perilous of trades. I used to live on Cape Cod, where we have the second largest fishing fleet in the United States. And every year people die because of storms at sea, because the waters get stirred up and the wind blows. And Lord, we are perishing, as the fisherman St. Peter says, it becomes a reality. And so for the fishermen, water is essential, but it's also very precarious. This was true, of course, for the Jewish people, who saw water as a symbol of God's power, but also the chaotic nature of God's power, that God creates out of nothing, and that can often be a violent thing. Water is also a symbol of death through these means, drought, flood, um, storms, drowning, of course. For ancient peoples, water was a little bit scary. And of course, when in baptism we go into the waters, we go 3 times down into the water as a reminder of the tomb. And so that's a little bit scary as well, that water has this connection with the tomb and with death. De profundis, into the depths, is the psalm that was traditionally said when someone died. Um, and so this Easter, as we think a little bit about water and its joyful and dark sides, it's important for us to realize that these are two sides of the same coin. In God's plan, there is profound joy, and the Lord sets us free to enjoy creation through baptism, to enjoy life. He does this by giving us peace Peace not as the world gives. The world wants to give us peace that says, hey, everything's going to be hunky-dory. It's all going to be one long vacation in Cancun. But of course, those of us who live in reality know that life isn't one long vacation in Cancun. The peace that the Lord gives us is a peace that says, yeah, even if water is deadly, even if it leads to our downfall, I've got that too, that death has no sting anymore. And so, paradoxically, even going to our death in water is a source of joy. And so I wish you all a happy Easter Monday, belated. And maybe next year, if you pay attention to this little meditation, you might remember to remind those around you of their baptism. Of course, in reality, every day of the Easter octave, from Easter Sunday 2 days ago until Low Sunday this coming weekend, is a day of Easter. And so really you could remind people of their baptism any day this week. Too bad it's not a little bit warmer, because that would have been much more enjoyable for the receiver, but it probably would be enjoyable for the giver. God bless and happy Easter.